Hey, this is Jeff from the Icebox Radio Theater, and we'll get on with the show in just a second. But I wanted to come on first and very briefly let you know about our brand new Patreon page. Now, Patreon is a relatively new crowdfunding source that's designed specifically for podcasters or bloggers or YouTubers, folks who create regular content online. It's a great opportunity for us to learn to budget a little bit more sensibly, shall we say, and it's a great opportunity for you to show a little financial love to all the great content providers that you watch or listen to or read online all the time. To find us, just go to Patreon, that's patreon.com, and search for Radio Icebox. Or even simpler, go to our website, iceboxradio.org, and look for the Patreon link. It's right across the top of the page there in the announcement bar. And now, on with the show.
Following audio drama is rated PG for parental guidance.
Frozen Frights. New Audio's Theater of Suspense and Terror. Now on Icebox Radio.
Hey, this isn't my room.
Shut up and get in there.
But this isn't my room.
Orders say you're in here this time. Now sit down.
Let go of my arm.
Sit down.
Quit pushing me.
Just sit there. Doctor will see you in a moment.
I'm not a criminal.
Sure. That's what they all say.
Hello, Jane.
Who are you?
I'll be your doctor today. Can I see your chip, please?
What happened to 636?
He's busy with other patients.
I've only seen 636.
Really? Your file says that
recently. I've only seen him. Where is he?
Well, to be honest, he asked me if I would take your case.
What? Why?
Come on, Jane. You tried to stab him.
Yeah, but that's my personality.
Yes, I know. Jane 522, age 20. At age 14, you were detained for theft. Age 18, detained for armed robbery. Age 18.4, detained for drunk and disorderly.
What does this have to do with 636?
Last month, you were restrained for hostile conduct toward your corrections physician. You tried to stab 636 with a pen.
I lost my temper.
You gave him 8 stitches. You, Jane 522, are really quite a problem.
So they've been telling me my whole life.
Yes. That's why we've come up with a solution.
You're resetting me, aren't you?
No. Well...
God, I hate resetting. The stupid questions, the needles. Can't you just give me some soma and be done with it?
No, we can't.
But it takes weeks to reset. Look, I'm not that far off. Just tweak me a little.
We have to reset you.
Ugh!
Because we're switching focus.
What does that mean?
Jane, can I ask you a question?
Might as well start the questions now. What is it?
What is your purpose?
What?
Your purpose.
Okay. I'm a food and goods designate.
No, that's your employment designation. I'm talking about your purpose. What's your purpose for being on Earth?
I don't understand.
Why are you here?
The same reason everyone else is here. To get corrected.
And why do we correct people?
To keep screw-ups like me from slaughtering innocents?
No, we do it because we're building a better society. You don't believe that?
Better society for who?
Ever since brain chemistry research became a government priority, every aspect of our society has improved. Crime is down, productivity is up, unwanted children aren't conceived.
Some of them are. Case in point.
Your mother's illness was very difficult to diagnose.
My mother was crazy, just like me. Only she couldn't take being corrected, so she took up high diving instead.
Jane.
She did it off our apartment balcony, but it was only 10 stories, so she didn't die instantly. I got to watch her squirm for a while. Bunch of people running around calling 911, but the emergency crews took 20 minutes getting there because they closed all but 2 fire stations in the whole city. The ambulance had to come 5 miles through traffic. You know why they closed all the fire stations?
Jane...
Because the brain chemistry correction system took care of all our problems. Police and fire stations aren't needed anymore. They aren't needed.
I know your case has been particularly traumatic,
Yeah.
and I'm here to help.
What do you want to try now? Up the antidepressant? Lower the antidepressant? Straight dopamine transfusion? Synthetic estrogen? They've tried it all, you know. Everything's gone into this head of mine, and nothing's worked.
So you just want us to fill you up with narcotics?
Hey, it'll keep me out of trouble, and I'll enjoy the ride.
Well, why not a full lobotomy then?
I'll try anything once.
Good. It's good to hear you say that because I have a particularly radical therapy in mind.
What's that?
Do you recognize these?
No. Should I?
You might try looking at them first. Do you recognize them now?
Where did you find these?
Your school files.
The instructors told me they'd been burned.
That would be against regulations.
He was against regulations. He was having sex with half the boys in class.
Yes, well, your composition instructor is not the topic here. Your compositions are.
Is this a joke?
Of course not. Why would you think
These stories are why I'm in the brain corrections program.
Yes, they are. I think it was this one that got the agency's attention originally. A story about a government, quite like our government, that kidnaps a young girl to test a combat robot they're developing.
Sybil.
What?
That was the name of the girl in the story. Sybil.
Yes. The instructor made a note that your class had been learning about some of the early combat robots our glorious leader had personally developed before he went into politics. Only his robots were programmed for combat. They didn't, well...
The robot in the story wasn't designed to fight.
In a sense...
It was designed to rape.
Yes. It was a very graphic story, Jane.
That one was nothing. You should have seen some of the stuff I wrote at home.
Do you still write?
636 thought I should avoid it.
What if I told you that you could start writing again? Even get paid for it? You could even write things like the robot story if you wanted.
Sorry, I'm through my raping robot period.
Do you know how the brain chemistry correction program works, Jane?
I've been in it since I was 12. I'm kind of an expert.
But do you know how it really works?
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, you understand, of course, that ever since we determined the optimal level of the 3 primary brain chemicals, we've done everything possible to ensure that all of the people are brought very close to those levels.
Every third grader knows that.
Yes, but maybe you don't know about the exemption program.
The what?
Have you ever wondered why everyone's not the same?
Not particularly.
Oh, but I think you have. I think all intelligent, creative people like you ask that question eventually. After all, if we can adjust your chemistry to a norm, why would anyone be abnormal?
Maybe you're not as good as you think.
We're very good at establishing the norm, Jane. But there is a small need for exemptions. You see, Jane, normal is the best option for 99.9% of the people. But sometimes you need someone who's different.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, an athlete who needs additional aggression, a scientist who needs the focus his natural autism brings him, or an artist who needs to embrace her depression to create haunting works of beauty.
You're kidding.
I'm not.
I didn't think you did haunting works of beauty in this hospital.
We contribute to that process.
So you're programming people. Big surprise.
We're not programming people. We're letting their natural tendencies exist. When they've got a sponsor, of course.
A what?
Regardless of what you think of this agency, we don't play God. We need a specific reason to vary someone's correction off norm. That's where sponsors come in.
Sponsors? Like commercials?
Well, maybe patrons is a better word. We don't just alter people and set them loose. They have to have a purpose, a job, which means they have to have someone who wants them and their particular abnormality. Athletes need teams, artists need print shops, scientists need pharma firms.
Who needs me?
What?
You wouldn't be talking to me about this if there wasn't a sponsor already lined up, right?
Well, no, I guess not.
So who needs me? Who needs stories about raping robots?
I should point out that it wasn't that particular story that interested them. It was your imagination in general.
Yeah, I get it. Who are they exactly?
Well, I can't tell you who they are until you agree to the terms. I have a contract...
It was Carne Noir, right?
What?
Carne Noir? Carney Noir Games Incorporated, the video game company.
How did you...
Skinny guy, about 25, terrible acne, his name is Roger.
How do you know these things?
I don't believe it.
Jane, how do you...
He already approached me.
He what?
It was at a coffee shop a week ago. This guy started chatting me up, saying he was the president of Carney Noir, the big video game company. He knew my name, he knew I was in the corrections program. I just figured he was some creep from your office trying to sleep with me.
He should not have contacted you. That is strictly against regulations.
That skinny little creep was for real. I don't believe it.
Oh, Jane,
It's true, isn't it? Everything he said was true?
Well, I have no idea what he said.
He said he'll take me off the meds entirely. He said I could write whatever I wanted as long as he got the first crack at it. He said he'd be responsible for me.
Well, that's a simplification, but yes.
Kind of makes me his slave, doesn't it?
Oh, don't be ridiculous. The contract has a mutual termination clause. Either one of you can end the relationship at any time.
Do you know what he said about my writing?
I am not comfortable talking about this, Jane. Roger was strictly forbidden from contacting you in advance.
But you're still going to go through with it.
There will need to be a board review. This is an unusual circumstance.
He told me he was paying you. I know you're going to go through with it. Do you want to know what he said about my writing?
I don't...
He said it was sick. Perverse. He said it was just what he needed. See, these video game guys have a hell of a time getting people interested since chemical correction. Turns out we're all so even-tempered now, it takes something really intense to get people's blood pumping. Carney Noir's into horror games. Zombies, post-apocalypse, haunted house stuff, you know. They needed sick. They needed perverse. He said I was perfect. He even said I could, act out in public sometimes. That'll generate press, help sales of the game.
Jane, listen to me.
Pen.
I think I've made a mistake bringing this to you.
Give me a pen.
This is not an appropriate time.
Are you afraid of me?
What?
Are you afraid of me? That's what it looks like. The look in your eyes right now. It's like you think I'm an animal.
No, of course not.
I just want to write again. What's so wrong about that?
Well...
I haven't been able to write for so long. This will give me a chance again, please.
Well, I think with some review...
Please? You know the fee he's paying is pretty hefty.
That shouldn't matter.
Of course not. A pen?
Well, this is against my better judgment.
Thank you, Doctor. This is a nice pen.
A present from my husband.
I used to do all my writing with crap. Ballpoints, old pencils, whatever I could steal. I think I'll try working with a pen like this from now on.
Well, you can afford it now. Could I have my pen back?
Oh, I'm not doing this for the money. Here's your pen. Wait a minute. Missed the jugular. I'm doing this for my freedom to be who I want to be. Now, what should my first scenario be about? How about a hospital where the doctors are torturing the patients? Hey, look. Red ink.
Red Ink, a story from the rack by the Icebox Radio Theater. Starring Autumn Silvers as Jane, Victoria Olsen as the Doctor, and Jeffrey Adams as the Guard. This program copyright 2013 by the Icebox Radio Theater, all rights reserved. Support new audio theater by joining the Icebox Radio Theater at iceboxradio.org.
Once, upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, only this, and nothing more. Distinctly I remember. It was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrows, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden who the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, or "Madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact was I was napping, and so gently you came tapping, and so faintly you came rapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you." Here I flung open the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into this darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the darkness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word. Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely this is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and the mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter. Wind with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched upon my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven. Ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore, tell me what is thy lordly name on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled, this ungainly fowl, to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird upon his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if in his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather that he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled by the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, "what it mutters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs upon one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope and that melancholy burden bore of nevermore." But the raven still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling. Straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking "Nevermore." This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet lining with the lamplight gloated o'er she shall press nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from some unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore? Quaff, oh quaff this kind repenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether temper sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore. Desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home on horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore. Tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aden it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels named Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, who the angels named Lenore? Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that our word of parting. Bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave no loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul, from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted nevermore. The Raven was written by Edgar Allan Poe, read here by Jeffrey Adams.
Well, you know, Jeff, I think that's a pretty good reading.
You know, there's another version of that story, Harley.
Oh, I was pretty sure there was.
There
Jeff.
was another version. It goes like this: da 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 da. Lenore is dead. Lenore is.
I've been waiting for that all night.